Oftentimes when I'm speaking somewhere or when I've been invited in to coach a group of people, someone introduces me as the Agile expert and I cringe. It's not that I'm not skilled at what I do, I just don't feel as though expert is the right term when it comes to teaching people Agile methods. I have a lot of experience and the videos are filled with those experiences, good, bad, and ugly. I think the main differentiator in how I approach teaching and coaching is that I'm much more descriptive than prescriptive. I'm interested in the outcomes with the process as a support to those, or why we're doing it is more important than how we do it. So it turns out a lot of people compare me to the dude in The Big Lebowski. Not sure if you've seen the movie. But Dude's Law was my response to fielding this question 10,000 times. Is that Agile? Or when people are trying to adopt Agile methods, sometimes they get into this discussion of that's not Agile, we're not Agile, you're not Agile, as though Agile is this very concrete thing. To try and demystify what is Agile and also to try and address some of that with some humor, I created this thing called Dude's Law. It's based on Ohm's Law, which is something you use if you're wiring a house or doing circuit board layout. And Ohm's Law says that current is equal to voltage divided by resistance. And if resistance goes up, or blockers in lean lingo, and voltage, pull, remains constant, then current goes down. In Dude's Law, it's really similar. It's just a different simple equation. Value is equal to y divided by how. And how is the mechanics of a practice. And if you are focusing on the mechanics and you're forgetting why you're doing them, then value goes down. A simple example that I see all the time is people are very interested in how to write a user story. And while people need to know the mechanics, that's part of the coaching I do, more important is the purpose or why. And so when people only know how to do something, when the mechanics don't work, they lose the value because they're over-focused on how to do it instead of why they're doing it. And that's what Dude's Law is all about. I took the idea of checklist thinking from a book called The Checklist Manifesto. The author is a surgeon, and the question that's important to him is, are we ready to operate? Because operating, while filled with procedures, is also filled with unpredictable events. Another group he references in the book is pilots, who are saying, are we ready to take off? And so when the pilot goes through checklist, it doesn't mean the plane starts flying. It means they've dealt with what is known so that when they take off, they can deal with what's unknown. Because just like the black swan, the unknowns are the challenges. And I think one of the things the Agile community has showed or has given me as someone producing software is the ability to discover what I don't know sooner. What I do know, I can put in some kind of a checklist, as in, are we ready to iterate? So instead of saying, we're ready to iterate because we did iteration planning, I'm more interested in saying, what are we trying to get out of iteration planning? I find that over time, it's a really nice tool for teams to lean out their processes and not just stay stuck doing the same practices over and over. This series is going to be good for anyone using Agile methods or trying to teach or coach the use of Agile methods. Instead of getting too hung up on whether someone's the coach or not, I typically think of everyone having the ability to do some level of coaching. It might be that you are truly the formally named coach, or you could be doing some informal coaching. I also find that the information in the sessions is good for practitioners, people that don't really want maybe coach or coaching responsibility, but they're looking for new ideas around building product backlogs or having more interesting planning sessions or trying to figure out, how are we actually going to use Agile methods? What's the set that's helpful for us? This series is for anyone that's choosing to use Agile methods, or anyone in particular that wants to be successful using Agile methods. It's broken into 3 sections: designing agility, developing customers and products, and discovery and delivery planning. The first of those 3, designing agility, is broken down into 3 sessions. Those sessions are questioning and learning. How do you get to know a group of people before you start helping them use a process? Selecting and suggesting, meaning once you have an understanding of those people, what practices are going to really be helpful instead of just telling them to use Scrum. That might be a solution, but this is more intentional. And the third one is planning to coach. How do you take what you've learned about a community, your selection and suggestion of practices, and put it together into a plan where you can measure, I'm really truly helping them. This coaching is providing real value. The second section is developing customers and products. Simply put, who are you building, what for, and why? The 3 sessions are collaborative chartering, pragmatic personas, and story mapping. All 3 are tools for building and understanding user, use, and context. The third section is called discovery and delivery. While it's mostly about planning, it's also about learning. So the 3 sessions are planning to discover, often called release planning, planning to deliver, which could be extreme programming or Scrum or Kanban, and setting a stage, which is about creating an ecosystem where people can be successful doing both discovery and delivery. My idea of how people use these videos is they're small little learning tools. So the first set is called Designing Agility. And I could imagine a new coach at a company, or a new project manager, or a tech lead who's trying to say, yeah, I'd like to use Agile methods, but I'm really not sure which methods I should use, which type of Agile, Kanban, Scrum. And more importantly, it's a set of tools for that person to figure out who they're working with, what their skills are, and what practices would be meaningful and how to measure them. So I think they could watch like a series of 3 videos and be able to produce a coaching plan. The second set of videos is really someone's going to sit down to build a product backlog. And there's 3 practices: collaborative chartering, pragmatic personas, and story mapping. On a small team, those 3 practices could be put into use to build a product backlog, for instance, in a day. For a larger program, just the one tool, collaborative chartering, is a good way to get a group of people focused around a common set of goals. It's a tool for understanding who's in the project community. The third set of videos, discovery and delivery, are my way to pump new life into the planning practices that have been in the Agile community for a while. To get people thinking about what is a meaningful cadence. Do they need to iterate or sprint, or could they cut straight to flow-based development, which people often call Kanban? With an extra session in there about how can you pragmatically go about setting up a collaborative workspace, an informative workspace, whether you have co-located teams or not, whether you have one team or many teams. So in short, each one of the sessions is a little tool, has concrete tools in it. After you watch them, my hope is that you could actually take those practices away and apply them directly.